Of the 10,000 ships that transited European waters last month, over half, 5,500, used so-called flags of convenience. That is, where their official registered domicile is not necessarily the place where their owners are based. That makes it tricky for authorities to track what those ships are doing, what their purpose is, what their cargoes might be. But more significantly, 540 ships last month transited the territorial waters, that is 12 kilometers from the coastline of countries that the US says officially export terrorism: Libya, Syria, and Lebanon. Those ships, a proportion of them at least, displayed unusual behaviours even after that, so that they may have turned off their transponders, they may have taken voyages that weren't economic, and that raises serious questions about what the purpose of those voyages might be, what those ships were carrying. For example, one ship travelled all the way through the Straits of Gibraltar, out into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, stopped, lingered for several hours, turned off its transponders, and then mysteriously turned right around and came all the way back to Lisbon. No one has any idea why that ship would have done that, other than perhaps that it met up with another vessel in the middle of the ocean and some kind of illicit cargo was transferred between the two. While there is a great deal of concern at the moment among Europe's politicians about the migration and terrorism crisis on the continent's east, the land borders are not necessarily the biggest problem. Europe's massive coastline and the shipping traffic that directs itself through the Mediterranean and around the Atlantic to Europe's ports is increasingly being seen as an area of weakness for the EU and its efforts to combat terrorism and illicit people smuggling. Currently, there is no coordinated system among Europe's member states to adequately track or share information or upstream intelligence on what various cargo vessels may contain as they move from country to country across the Mediterranean and the Atlantic. That means that some containers can make unusual stops along their journeys, could stop along coastlines, pick up people, pick up weapons, meet other ships at sea, turn off their transponders, do any manner of illegal activity before coming into port, and the countries that they dock in might not necessarily have any idea that that has taken place. Experts suggest that what should be done is greater coordination among member states. Currently, there is a centre in Portugal called the Marine Operations and Analysis Centre, which, alongside the US, shares information about drug smuggling. There's been some suggestion that perhaps the remit of this centre, the MOAC as it's known, could be extended to cover issues of terrorism and arms smuggling too.